George Galloway. Not just this! Not just this! Not just this! Not just this! Brothers and sisters, comrades and friends, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Adnan, how I wish there were more people could have heard that soliloquy that you just made. How I wish there were more Manchester members of Parliament, or even any Manchester members of Parliament here to have heard that soliloquy. How I wish that our politicians had been here in number, with all respect to those who came, though all of them came from outside of the city of Manchester. Shame on them! Shame on them! And they are the losers, because I was just reflecting with my brother Mohammed Shafiq that the last time we shared a platform together was on this very same subject in this very same city 5 years ago. It was a very small crowd. At least then, people had the excuse that they didn't know what we were talking about. But nobody now has that excuse, because everybody knows what's going on. And when you can actually watch in real time, live on television, the sea of murder and misery that the Muslims in Burma are facing, it makes you rage at the indifference of the powerful, of the political class in the face of all of this. I have been involved in this particular subject for many years. This didn't begin when the BBC showed up on this latest flare-up, when mayhem and murder literally became genocide. What's the definition of genocide? It's an attempt to eradicate, to annihilate, to remove permanently, for all time, a group of people, a category of people, based only and entirely on who and what they are, not on anything that they have done. And as the Imam said so powerfully a few minutes ago, you have to face this fact. The Rohingya are being murdered because they are Muslims. That's all. And even worse, the world is silent because they are Muslims. That's another sad, melancholy truth. They're being murdered by a regime, a military junta, which has been in power since 1962. Imagine, when the Beatles were at the top of the charts, and the Beatles are 40 years dead, and they're still in power. And the reason that they're still in power is because big business and the big powers have profited mightily from the resources and the labors of the people of Burma. But this military junta was in need of some cosmetic repair, and it found it. The former darling of the world's liberals, the Nobel Peace Prize winner, Aung San Suu Kyi, has volunteered to be the lipstick on the pig of Burmese fascism. That's what she is. And I say to all those places who gave her freedom of the city, I say to the Nobel Committee, it's time to name this woman what she is, an accomplice to the genocide of the Rohingya people in Burma. Now let me deal with, again, something Brother Adnan said early in this meeting. The entirely circular absurdity of Britain giving £25 million to help the Rohingya refugees, whilst our armed forces are in Burma training the very people who are murdering the Rohingya people, setting their villages on fire, sending them in their hundreds of thousands into the mud and the blood of the path to sanctuary in one of the poorest countries in the world, Bangladesh. We're paying money to the victims of an army which we ourselves are training and we ourselves are helping to arm. How crazy is that? And if we had any politicians here, we could ask them to raise that. But we don't. And so they won't. And one of the reasons why is another of these specific points I came here today to make. The biggest military collaborator with the Burmese regime is another ethno-religious supremacist state, the so-called state of Israel. Israel is Burma's best friend. Why? Because both regimes believe that they have some God-given right to supremacy and the right to ethnically cleanse any minority from their land and to steal their land and to exploit it. It's no accident that Israel and Burma are so close, because they think the same, that the others are less than them, that the others are less than human, that their blood is worth less than theirs, and so they can spill it with impunity. And so far they have spilt it, an ocean of it, with impunity. And that's the real killer fact. Unless we can build a movement 10,000 times bigger than this, the Rohingya will continue to bleed and they will never go home. I've been here before. For 45 years I've been fighting for the Palestinian people, raising my voice, demanding that they have the right to return home. But they may never return home. And the 400,000 Rohingya now living under a plastic sheet if they can buy it, and I mean buy it. No one's giving them a plastic sheet under which to live in the rain and the sun. They will never go home unless we can change the political paradigm, the political balance which exists in the world. Unless we can build a movement that says to politicians, don't ask me for my vote until you tell me what you've done for the things that matter to me. Until we can build that movement, these perfectly tragic people will continue to suffer. We must pray, and prayer is important for the salvation of these poor people. Prayer is important, it's necessary, but it's not sufficient. It's men who are carrying out these crimes. It's men who are arming them to carry out these crimes. It's men who are facilitating them to carry out these crimes. And it's men we have to force to change. Full marks to drive for justice to Adnan and his brothers and sisters who made this rally possible. 0 marks to those who didn't come. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Good on you, George. Fantastic. Amazing.
I mean, George gives the message. This is the start of the movement. The movement for peace. The movement for unity. The movement for demanding justice.